Hello guys, and welcome back to the Doc My Car channel, and today what I'm going to show you is how to pick the correct wheels for your vehicle. So just because it's a 5-lug setup doesn't mean that any 5-lug is going to work for your car. So that's the purpose of today's video, such as your PCD, the offset, the center ball, the back spacing, and a lot of things like that, including the thread pitch as well. So without further ado, let me get into it, but consider subscribing for free. It really does show your appreciation. Alright guys, so now this is my wheel. So the first thing you got to look at is the tire specification. So let's say, for example, this one is a 225/45 R18, which means the width of the tire is 225 millimeters, and then the 45 means that the height of this wall is 45% of the width of your tire right here. And the R18 is for it to mount on to an 18-inch wheel. So that's the first thing you got to do on tires. Now there's a helpful tire calculator which I will link in the description below. Let's say, for example, you have 17-inch wheels and you're going from 225/45/17s. So the next one up would be 225/40/18s. So you need to, overall, you do need to have the overall same height of the tire from the top to the base. It doesn't matter if your tires are thinner, but the height has got to be the same. A little bit like about 0.3% or 3%, it should not be too bad. All right, so the first thing we're going to look on the rim is your PCD. So what PCD stands for, it's pitch, circle, diameter. Now, if you look at this one right here, you've got your 5-lug holes. So this one is an odd number. So what you need to do is think that you've got a ring going around here and you're trying to find what is the distance between the rings. So a circle from one end to the other end, what the difference is. So how you can measure the PCD on a 5-lug setup is you take the outer part of this hole and then you want to measure the tape into the middle of this hole. So for example, if you measure from the start of this hole to the middle of this hole, you'll get 120 millimeters. So let's say for a BMW setup, you have 5 times 120. So that's 5 lug nut holes times 120 millimeters between the invisible ring that is not here that you can see. So if you imagine there's a ring here, then it is from the start of this hole to the middle of this hole, and that'll give you 120 millimeters for this particular wheel. So that tells me it's 5 times 120, so it's a BMW setup, and it would work for vehicles such as Holden as well. Now, the other thing you need to take note of is your center ball. So this is where your center ball is, and this part mounts onto the hub of your vehicle. So the center ball for this one is 72.6 millimeters. So if you measure from here to here, you'll get 72.6 millimeters. The reason why you need to get the correct center ball is, let's say my vehicle has got 72.6 millimeters and I try to go for a Toyota one, and Toyota's a 60.1 millimeters. If I was to mount it in, then the wheel wouldn't fit. It'll hit the hub, right? Then what you'll need to do is you'll need to bore the rim. That means drill a hole to suit. Now, on the other hand, if at all the center ball is bigger than your vehicle's one, let's say I was going to mount it for a Toyota and my Toyota is 60.1 millimeters, but then I've got this one 72.6 millimeters. That's where you use a hub ring. A hub ring, which would mean that you put a ring in here. Let's show the audience right here. So if you put a hub ring right here, then what that is going to do is it's going to become hub-centric. Okay, so what hub-centric means is when the wheel is mounted onto the hub, that means it is pushed in and the hub is actually holding it. So that means there's no loose fitting right here, and it will, especially with high speeds, you will notice that if it's not hub or lug-centric, you will experience a lot of vibration in your car. So with this one, as long as you've got the correct hub ring, or if you've got the correct specs, then you will not have any issues. Now, the other thing as well is the thread pitch. So if you look at this hole right here, these holes are 14mm holes. Now, if I wanted to mount them, let's say on my BMW E90, which is M12. So the BMW 90 is M12 times 1.5, which means the bolt thickness is 12mm, and the thread pitch, the difference between the thread is 1.5mm. Then when I put a 12mm bolt through here and I mount it on to my BMW E90, just try to picture this one. The hub end is 12mm and the rim bolt end is 14mm. Now, if you use a 12mm and you bolt it through, that will not become lug centric. So eventually when it starts to loosen up, it could crack the bolts and then your wheel could come flying off and you might drive over your wheel. So this is the exact reason you have to be careful. When you are mounting it, you want to mount it to a M14 rim to a M14 hub or M12 rim to a M12 hub. Now, there are some third-party markets, they do have some bolts where it starts from a 14 to 12. You can, as long as it is properly made to manufacturer specifications. All right, guys, so the next thing you need to look at is your offset. Now, what is an offset and why is it important? Now, think of it this way. I'm mounting this one onto my vehicle and you want it to sit flush with the fender of your car. Now, try to draw an invisible line right here. Now, the center bar is right in the middle, and that's an offset of 0. Now, let's say, for example, before I get into that, I do want to explain a little bit more. So the width of this rim is 8 inches. That's from the bead of the rim to the bead of the rim. So that means the tire sits into the bead. It's not from the corner edge of this rim to the corner edge of this rim. If you do measure it, it'll be 9 inches. So now, with the offset, let's say I've got 9 inches of space from right here to right here. That's 9 inches. So 0 offset is going to be 4.5 inches. And that's going to be your 0 offset. Now, if you want a positive offset, you're going to go this way. So that means what an offset is this one right here. So you can see that if it was more towards this side, then it's a negative offset. If it's more towards that side, it's a positive offset. Okay, so now as you can see, it's 0 offset is 4.5 inches. And now if you measure from here to here, if you put a flat surface and you measure from here to here, let's say that you get 6.5 inches, and then you get another one, which is, let's say you got 6.5 inches from here to here, but you know the true width of the rim is 9 inches. So now with your 6.5 inches, you're going to minus it from the center, which is your 0 offset. If you go 6 inches minus 4.5, you'll have an offset of around 40 millimeters. Now this one is 34 millimeters offset, but I'm using a better round number so that you guys can actually see and learn how it actually works. So now that we established that 6 minus 4.5 is 1.5 inches, and that will equal to about 40 millimeters. Let's say in my example, but now this is 34 millimeters plus offset. So what that means is 0 is here, and it is 34 millimeters right here. So that means that the hub here, the mounting surface, is pushed out even further. Now, if you had a racing car, then it'll be more negative offset. Now, if let's say you want to put a wheel which is plus 20 offset, then you are traveling more towards that way. So that means the mounting surface will be pushing out that way. The more offset, the further tucked in to the vehicle the wheels go. The more negative the offset, the more out towards the curb the wheel goes. All right, so that's how offset is. So now what if at all you did have too much positive of an offset? Then what you can do is you can use spaces, and once you use spaces, that actually reduces your offset. It becomes more negative, and that will poke the wheels out even further so that you will actually have it more sitting flush with your fender. All right, guys, so that's pretty much what I wanted to discuss with you today. And when it comes to wheels as well, select the proper wheels and the tires as well. Try not to stinge on tires. These are Continental tires and these are really good tires. All right, guys, I hope this video has been useful and informative. Consider subscribing if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next video.